Welcome back to the pre-learning module for Ship Safety Course, Part 6. This module, Part 6, covers the BWM Convention 2004 and the STCW Convention 1978, as indicated in red on the slide. International Convention for the Control and Management of Ships' Ballast Water and Sediments 2004, BWM 2004. Most merchant ships need to have ballast water when the ship is empty to maintain proper trim, stability, longitudinal strength to resist lateral forces, and draft for propeller immersion. However, some or all of this ballast water must be discharged when the ship takes on cargo. This slide shows the typical ballast water cycle of ordinal merchant cargo ships. 1. Cargo destination and ballast source port. As cargo is unloaded, ballast water is pumped in as ballast for the next voyage, without cargo. 2. Voyage to pick up cargo. The cargo hold is empty, but the ballast tanks are full of seawater. 3. Cargo pickup port. As cargo is being loaded, ballast water is pumped out because ships are designed to operate best in the full condition. 4. Delivery voyage to cargo destination port. The cargo hold is full of the cargo and the ballast tanks are empty. According to an estimate by the International Maritime Organization, IMO, ships carry 3 to 5 billion tons of ballast water globally each year. Unrelated release could cause serious ecological, economic, and health impacts on the receiving environment. The IMO adopted the BWM 2004 Convention on 13 February 2004 to protect the marine environment from the transfer of harmful aquatic organisms in ships' discharged ballast water. The BWM 2004 entered into force on 8 September 2017. This slide shows the structure of the BWM 2004. The convention consists of articles, an annex containing technical regulations, appendices containing related forms, certificates, and the Ballast Water Record Book, and 14 guidelines, G1 to G14. This slide shows the sections in the annex. Section A, General Provisions. Section B, Management and Control Requirements for Ships. Section C, Special Requirements in certain areas. Section D, Standards for Ballast Water Management. Section E, Survey and certification requirements for ballast water management. This slide shows the guidelines. The guidelines are not legally binding yet. However, Guideline G8, which covers the approval of ballast water management systems, has been amended and renamed Code for Approval of Ballast Water Management Systems, BWMS Code. The BWMS Code became mandatory at the 70th session of the Marine Environment Protection Committee, MEPC, adopted 13 April 2018, in force 13 October 2019. Ballast water management systems installed on or after 28 October 2020 shall be approved by the administration in accordance with the provisions of the Code. This slide shows other guidelines of the Convention. The following slides show the outlines of the BWM 2004. Article 1 defines ballast water as water with its suspended matter taken on board a ship to control trim, list, draft, stability, or stresses of the ship. It defines ballast water management as mechanical, physical, chemical, and biological processes, either singularly or in combination, to remove, render harmless, or avoid the uptake or discharge of harmful aquatic organisms and pathogens within ballast water and sediments. Article 2 of the BWM 2004, concerning general obligations, covers the administration's obligations. Parties undertake to give full and complete effect to the provisions of this convention and the annex thereto in order to prevent, minimise, and ultimately eliminate the transfer of harmful aquatic organisms and pathogens through the control and management of ships' ballast water and sediments. Regulation B-1 covers the Ballast Water Management Plan. Each ship shall have on board and implement a ballast water management plan. Such a plan shall be approved by the administration, taking into the account guidelines developed by the organisation. Regulation B-2 covers the Ballast Water Record Book. Each ship shall have on board a ballast water record book that may be an electronic record system or that may be integrated into another record book or system, and which shall at least contain the information specified in Appendix 2. Regulation B-3 covers ballast water management for ships. Ships shall conduct ballast water management that at least meets the standard described in Regulations D-1 or D-2. The BWM 2004 provides two options. The Ballast Water Exchange Standard of Regulation D-1 allows ballast water exchange as an interim solution until ships are able to install ballast water management systems that comply with the provisions of the Ballast Performance Standard of Regulation D-2. At the 71st session of MEPC in 2017, it was agreed that the installation due date for ballast water management systems could be delayed by 2 years on existing ships. However, ships for which the keel was laid on or after 8 September 2017 had to install a ballast water management system by the completion date of the construction. The detailed schedule is shown in the next slide. This table shows the implementation deadline for installing a ballast water management system. Regulation B-4 covers the ballast water exchange. Whenever possible, ballast water exchange should be conducted at least 200 nautical miles from the nearest land and in water at least 200 meters deep. If that is impossible, ballast water exchange should be conducted at least 50 nautical miles from the nearest land and in water at least 200 meters deep. The port state may designate specific areas, in consultation with adjacent or other states, where ships need to conduct ballast water exchange. This slide shows two of the current methods for ballast water exchange. 1. The flow-through method, in which replacement ballast water is pumped into a ballast tank intended for the carriage of water ballast, allowing water to flow through overflow or other arrangements. At least 3 times the tank volume must be pumped through the tank, and 2. The sequential method, in which the ballast tank is emptied then refilled with replacement ballast water to achieve at least 95% volumetric exchange, taking into the account ship's longitudinal strength, stability, trim and visibility from navigation bridge. This slide presents Regulation D-2, which covers the Ballast Water Performance Standard, with which all ballast water treatment systems shall comply. This slide shows the conceptual flow of ballast water treatment to remove microbes. There are currently 4 types of treatment systems available. A. The filter plus ultraviolet system, which needs retreatment when it is discharged. B. The filter plus chemical system, which needs neutralization when it is discharged. C. The electrolysis system, which needs neutralization when it is discharged. And D. The ozone system, which needs neutralization when it is discharged. 4.7. STCW Convention 1978. The International Convention on Standards of Training, Certification and Watchkeeping for Seafarers 1978, STCW 1978. 4.7.1. Background of the STCW 1978. Before the STCW 1978, there were previously no international standards regulating the training, certification and watchkeeping of officers, even though shipping is the most global industry. In 1967, the Liberian oil tanker Torrey Canyon ran aground due to navigational errors and mishandling of the autopilot, causing nearly 120,000 tons of crude oil to spill into the ocean off England and France. At the time, this acknowledged the urgent need for international standards for the training, certification and watchkeeping of officers and crew ratings. The STCW 1978 was adopted by the IMO and entered into force on 28 April 1984. The convention prescribes minimum standards relating to the training, certification and watchkeeping for seafarers that countries are obliged to meet. 4.7.2. Outline of the STCW 1978. This slide shows the structure of the STCW 1978, its annex and the STCW code. The article, which provides the main context of the convention, prescribes the general obligations of the administration, its application, communication with the IMO, certificates, dispensation for exceptional cases, control by port states, amendment procedures, and so on. The Annex comprises 8 chapters that define the mandatory minimum basic requirements for the certification of officers and rating crew. Chapter 1, General Provisions. Chapter 2, Master and Deck Department. Chapter 3, Engine Department. Chapter 4, Radio Communication and Radio Personnel. Chapter 5, Special Training Requirements for Personnel Certain Types of Ships, Oil, Chemical, Gas Tankers and Passenger Ships. Chapter 6, Emergency, Occupational Safety, Medical Care and Survival Functions. Chapter 7, Alternative Certification, provisions allowing the administration to issue certificates other than those certificates provided in these chapters, such as for an officer of a multipurpose ship. Chapter 8, Watchkeeping. The STCW code is comprised of 2 parts. Part A details mandatory minimum standards of competence required for seagoing personnel, presented in a series of tables. Part B contains recommended guidance intended to help the parties implement the convention. The code's measures are guidelines, not mandatory, and the examples given are only intended to illustrate how certain convention requirements may be complied with. However, the recommendations represent a best practices approach that has been harmonised through discussions within the IMO and consultation with other international organisations. Thank you for your kind attention. This concludes Part 6 of the module.